Welcome back to another episode all. Throughout this episode we are going to be discussing Asa Maass, Pricilla Maass, and of how they exploit their autistic daughter on a channel called FatheringAutism. First of all, the channel called FatheringAutism is already playing deception, as Asa Maass is not the father of autism as he claims himself to be. He makes it like he's some kind of heroic figure who is the master of autism and the teacher of it, and he claims that the whole purpose of his channel is about teaching autism, but it's actually got nothing to do with autism, but it's all about exploiting his daughter, called Abigail. His wife is called Pricilla Maass, and she takes advantage of her daughter as well. Asa Maass has another daughter. When he separated himself from his wife Pricilla, he went and got another woman pregnant, and this daughter, he has abandoned her, and he has never had anything to do with her. But he makes himself out to be this amazing father, this incredible father, and he goes saying that other fathers need to step up. So he's even a very big hypocrite just there, that apparently all you other fathers out there, he claims that you're not good enough for your autistic kids, but you need his help, he thinks. But I found that plain offensive towards fathers, because in my family, it is actually my father. He never had to stand up because he was always stood up. He was always there for me. A diagnosis of autism didn't make him feel the need to disown me or anything. Didn't feel the need to change me. But my dad still accepted me and loved me for who I am. And I think that's the way it should be with all parents. Unfortunately, my mother disowned me, sadly enough. So whereas the Maass says that the mothers do all the planning and so on, I'm afraid that's not the case in my life. It wasn't my mother that did all the work, it was my dad, who brought my siblings up as well. And back to the exploitation of Abigail, their entire life now, all of their wealth, all of their fame is based upon the back of Abigail. If you imagine a keystone of an arc, if we take that keystone out, the whole arc will collapse. And Abigail represents that keystone among this family. It does. Such as Asa Maass has made this family vlog where he vlogs and shows the world everything about his daughter. His daughter has no sense of privacy whatsoever, because he just puts everything about her online every day. He's even gone doing the most private events that none of us would approve. His wife Pricilla Maass has done things which I would see as even more terrible, because she's used her daughter Abigail by all the fans that they've produced on FatheringAutism on that channel. What she's gone to do is she's gone and told those fans to go across and join something called an MLM called Lipstick Mama, where she's actually exploiting the fans, millions of fans, as well as exploiting her own autistic daughter for finances. She goes, if you look on her Facebook page, if you look at the photos which contain her daughter, they get about 15,000 likes and more engagement, a larger algorithm. But if you just look at a photo where it's just her alone and just her business with lipstick, you find that there's very little to no engagement whatsoever. So you can see that the people are not there for the sake of makeup or lipstick. They are only on Priscilla's page for Abigail. They only want to see Abigail the do. So if we removed Abigail from that picture, from the MLM, Pricilla Maass's whole business would collapse and she'd have no wealth from it. And when you look at Asa Maass with his vlog, you can see that people are just watching the vlog in order to see Abigail. So if you remove Abigail from YouTube, from the blog, his whole world and wealth will come collapsing. But neither parent will have any wealth. Abigail's big brother, Isaiah, would not be at university because the parents wouldn't have gotten the wealth to do so. But their entire world is based upon their daughter's back. But if they ever lose custody of their daughter, the whole thing will collapse. They often make the excuse that they're doing this to make a better life for their daughter, gathering all this money. But if you are familiar with their channel, what you'll find is they often get the money, but then they go spending the money on things rather than actually storing the money away. We'll say we're trying to save 8 million as life insurance for our daughter. But out of how much money they've already made, they've made over 100 million already. $100 million. And out of all that, why didn't they put $8 million of that away? If they already have done, well, this excuse that they're doing it for the daughter's future, that already shows it's just a lie. So they're lying one way or the other. So once again, you see them being deceptive. And in their videos, when they're just nattering, because sometimes that's just what they do to make the videos longer, you hear them contradict themselves in the very same sentence. Like one which came up recently was, they've actually pulled their daughter out of school, they did. But they had no teacher for it in order to teach her. And what Asa and Maass went saying was that he'll hire a teacher about halfway through the year, but if that teacher is then willing to leave the school and come and teach the daughter, he wouldn't want a teacher like that. Which makes absolutely no sense and is just nonsense. Because that's basically saying you're hiring a teacher just so you can sack them. So sometimes we don't even know what they are saying a lot of the time. And quite a lot of their behaviour is very dangerous and disgraceful. There's some threads online of individuals claiming that they are sexually aroused and sexually attracted to their daughter Abigail. And Asa, Maass and Pricilla are actually very lazy people. Their videos come to share that they're just so lazy and don't do anything. Like Pricilla doesn't even have a relationship with her daughter, and there's someone from a summer camp called Summer, and Pricilla actually says that Summer is the favourite daughter when she's not even a daughter, and she doesn't view her daughter Abigail as her actual daughter, which I find quite shameful. That she would rather call someone who's not related to her the daughter and call her actual daughter as not her daughter but just a friend. And even though these people and so on are sexually attracted, are like stalkers or something, Asa and Maass is looking for respite in order for someone to look after his daughter, since they can't be bothered to look after their daughter, as they're too busy vlogging, too busy on the phone with the MLM, with Lipstick Mama. But they want respite. But even though they are so wealthy and can afford to hire the best professionals, they are reaching out to the fan base where all these crazy people are who are sexually attracted, and they're asking, will you come and look after our daughter? Now, what kind of parents would hire strangers to come and look after their daughter from a fan base on Facebook? So I found that disgraceful. I don't see why someone should receive a parenting reward for doing that. They've had the Child Protection Services called on them several times because of what's been seen on their vlogs and so on, such as on several times now. When Pricilla was dropping her daughter off at school, Abigail, her daughter was bleeding from the nose. She was covered in blood. but Pricilla just dropped her off at school covered in blood. She didn't bother thinking to pull over, actually stop and clean her daughter up. So I can imagine her daughter found that very embarrassing. And perhaps it was the teachers at the school that called the CPS, the Child Protection Services, on them. But they seem to just think it's viewers, and they view them as haters. And so on. So anyone who offers a piece of critique, they immediately call vindictive haters, even if it's actually valid criticism towards what they are doing, towards their actions. So the Child Protection Service is called several times, and they are not taking responsibility for their actions. After another video I saw, this comes to applied behaviour analysis, which Asa and Maass strongly supports, and he promotes it, and so on. And even the autistic adults warned him, including myself, we warned him that if he keeps rewarding his daughter will become reward obsessed, as that's one of the consequences we've seen of ABA, of excessively rewarding kids. But sadly, he wouldn't listen to those of us who are autistic adults, and his daughter is now obsessed with eating cookies. In fact, they've had to put a lock on the fridge and cupboards just so she won't go eating all the food. So she's now food obsessed, even though they were warned that this is what would happen, but decided not to listen. They were talking a bit about aggression and so on, and they were saying that the aggression comes from nowhere. They were saying there's no antecedent. An antecedent is another term that comes from applied behaviour analysis, ABA, which basically means the cause of it. But here's the thing, this demonstrates that he's not educated about autism, because the aggression he's referring to is what we call a meltdown. But meltdowns are not sudden reactions. They gradually and generally build up inside of us, and eventually, those as autistic, we explode. When we can't hold that information in any longer, we just burst out. Sometimes in aggression towards ourselves, sometimes aggression towards others, or sometimes just shouting and screaming. These kind of unpleasant behaviours occur if you don't watch for the sounds and triggers that a meltdown's coming on. But if parents can see a meltdown coming on, like if the child begins to stim a bit more regularly, flapping the hand maybe, that's a sign that a meltdown might be building up inside your child. And if so, that's a good opportunity to try and calm your child down. And as Asa and Pricilla has gone through with so many of these ABA interventions, he took his daughter to a full-size shopping centre and so on, which was full of fluorescent lights, loud noises, fully crowded, and we warned him once again against this. He's wondering, why is everyone saying this is so abusive? It's because, imagine if you were at a time when a fire alarm went off, and if we held you by the fire alarm, wouldn't you feel all the muscles around your eyes and so on suddenly go and get real tense, and wouldn't your shoulders go, wouldn't all your muscles get that tension? That's the result of overstimulation. You get tension in your muscles, and if you get too much tension, it causes chronic pain. So as Asa kept doing this to his daughter, he kept causing her chronic pain, and in the long run that can actually lead to chronic pain disorders. As my main objection against ABA, applied behaviour analysis, is it ignores everything beneath the surface. So everything going on in the brain is disregarded, everything to do with the daughter's physiology is disregarded, everything to do with mental health is disregarded. All ABA cares about is what's on the surface. So that's all Asa and Maass cares about with his daughter, is what's on the surface. And that's why he doesn't understand meltdowns. So just as a quick summary up to now of what's gone on, is going seeking crazy people from fan bases to come and look after his daughter. he and his wife don't even have a relationship with their daughter themselves, but just vlog with her. And their entire life is on they exploit their daughter, giving her privacy out for the whole world to see, from things like recording her using the toilet, nose bleeding, and they've used her to make a MLM, multi-level marketing, for Lipstick Mama to build a bigger profit. And I would say this is pretty disgraceful already, and ignoring all the autistic adults. And now things get even worse. On his channel, Ian says it's about educating people about autism. But whenever parents ask him questions about their autistic kids, about how exactly can they help their kids and so on, Asa just deletes them from his channel. He's not willing to have any messages there that he can't answer. And the thing is, he can't answer any of them because he's got no education in physiology, no education in neurology, no education about autism itself, no education about neuroscience, no education in biology. Originally, he was just a mechanic before he went full-time YouTube. So I assume he's got a good level of education in maths and physics and a few other subjects, but nothing to do with humans and human development. So he doesn't even have the education himself in order to teach people about autism. And so many people say that he's ran out of content of things to talk about. But if you know even the smallest bit about autism, you'll know that you'll never be able to run out of things to talk about. Because we found things like, if I wanted to help a parent of an autistic child, this autistic child will most likely have another disability. Like, many autistic kids are also diagnosed with dyspraxia. So if I wanted to help this parent, I would need to know about both dyspraxia and autism if I wanted to help the parent. So that dyspraxia, that brings another whole picture into it. Then there's common comorbidities, but Asa knows nothing about those. So he doesn't even know anything about what he claims he's going to teach you about. But he just wants you on there for the money. Just about 2 years ago, he actually went and ripped some people off and falsely accused people of harassment. What Asa and Pricilla Maass did was and there was a local business called Selfie World that actually invited them to do some business for autism awareness, because they thought that Asa was connected with autism awareness due to his YouTube channel and Facebook community. But instead of Asa actually accepting this invitation, he ignored the woman, and then instead he decided to open his own Selfie World. So he took their concept of a Selfie World, and when he was put on the news channel for it, he and his wife Priscilla both directly lied to the public and said that they were the first Selfie World inside Jacksonville. So they even directly lied to the general public on the news channel, though Asa and Priscilla. They are always very vague concerning so many things, and on their videos, whenever they're lying, they can never look at the camera when they're telling lies, but when they're contradicting themselves and so on. Such as recently, their business got shut down because they didn't actually want to do any business. They said we're going to employ people on the spectrum, but apparently they didn't. There was an individual who was disabled who they employed, but they discriminated this individual with a disability. They decided to discriminate him and treat him so unfairly that they actually fired him, even though he did nothing wrong. They fired him just because he couldn't do things at the level they wanted him to do it at. So just because they wouldn't get their own way. But Asa and Pricilla, they didn't actually do anything for the business. They actually expected that just these 9 people would do everything for them. As I already mentioned, they are 2 lazy people. Asa and Pricilla, they've become that lazy by being so obsessed with YouTube and MLM. So if you're against child exploitation, using children to make money, posting images of children online, videos of them, without the child's consent, we would be grateful if you would start calling these people out. Anyone who exploits children in general, and not just disabled children like Abigail, who these people make all their money off, we would like you to call them out with us, and so on. Now, Asa Maass, if you were listening, I have a lesson for you. Before you go saying that this is not our business, as soon as you put anything on social media, that becomes the world's business. Just as anything I put on social media becomes the world's business. It's called social media because it's basically the social world online. And just like in our communities, our societies, it's the public opinion that shapes the laws of our countries. And on social media, it's the opinions of what the users of social media approve of that determine the YouTube and Facebook's guidelines of what we approve of. Such as there's the restriction of images of nudity, and that's come due to public opinion. So what's restricted from social media is all down to us. It's our business as well. So if we don't want child exploitation occurring online, and we see you doing child exploitation, it's our business to push you back and push against you and say that no, you should not be doing child exploitation online. Otherwise, others might start child exploitation, and that would go against our desires that children should not be put online without consent. If you really are a good father, you really should look at your own actions and think about how would you feel if someone did to you exactly what you do to your daughter. If I took a video of you using a toilet and posted it on social media for the world to see, how would you feel? If I broke your nose and your nose was bleeding, if I then recorded it and posted it online, would you feel good about that? I can safely assume not. So what makes you think your daughter is okay with it? What makes you think it is okay for you to be in entire authority over your daughter's life rather than your daughter being an autonomous human being? Your daughter has the right to autonomy. That is a human right. And even on one of your videos where you said children don't have rights, I'm not sorry to break it to you, Asa, but children do have their rights. Not as many rights as adults, but when they become adults, they do get the same rights as adults. Not disabled adults necessarily, such as an epileptic adult. I don't have the right to drive like other adults. So some rights will be limited, but that will be all due to safety reasons. It will not be due for you to exploit and make money. So I'm not allowed to drive just so the NHS can make money out of me. They're telling me not to drive for my own sake. It's for my safety. But you disallowing your daughter autonomy just so you can exploit her and make money for yourselves to spend and go on holiday 10 times in 2 years, go spending it on new trucks, new homes, and so on. No, that's not the right way. But it's not what a good father would do. I'm so glad that my dad is nothing like you. And I can assure you that the people I know, they will be so glad not to have a dad like you, who would do that to their own children. It is unacceptable, Asa, to do this. I know that you would like to say to me that I am jealous of your money, of your home and so on. Well, Asa, I'm sorry to break it to you. I am not jealous at all, because happiness does not come from the vain things of the earth. It doesn't come from money. The things which I get joy out of in life are things like having a dad that loves me. My dad brings great joy into my life, but I can't buy my dad, so that money would be useless to me. I like the home which I've got. If I had a home as big as yours, I don't think I'd like it, because I'd have a lot more cleaning up to do. I'd have a lot more work to do. And, I don't think I'm going to enjoy that. So no, I'm certainly not jealous of someone else having a big home. When it comes to friends, I can't buy friends, but I like the friends that I've got. But when I look in your life, on your videos, you seem to have no friends. So, the joyful things in life you cannot buy. But they are things that, just like family and friends. So, don't bother thinking that all these people who are against you because of child exploitation, don't think they are jealous of you. They are not jealous at all. And they don't hate you. Where you accuse us as haters, vindictive haters. Nah, we hate child exploitation. Especially child exploitation for the sake of money for yourselves and not for your daughter. So either grow up, be responsible and use that money properly. Use that money to help your daughter. Help her have an education. Have professional respite. Not go for the cheapest option and hire strangers off of Facebook. Don't force her to go to places that hurt her. Actually show some love and respect to her. Stop being so ignorant of her. Because this makes you and Priscilla two disgraceful parents by disregarding all of your daughter's needs. So please all, if you see that what Asa Maass and Pricilla Maass are doing is wrong, exploiting their daughter, please call them out. If you made it this far, thank you for listening.